Lowell Green Show, originating live on BlastTheRadio.com. Ask your smart speaker to play Blast the Radio. Live video available on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Email Lowell at BlastTheRadio.com. The number to call or text is 613-413-2217. And now, telling it like it is, here's Lowell Green.
Did you get your renovations all done on the weekend, John?
Yes and no.
What's the no part?
I got everything unwired, and then, things weren't working, and put it back together again. And anyway, I've got a plan for it now, so.
Sounds like one of my electronic adventures. Get her all apart and then can't figure out how to put her back together again.
I'm waiting for I'm working towards a brand new automation system for the music and the commercials, etc. And we are delayed on that. I'm waiting on the third party to get me set up on that. So
old third party.
Best to leave things the way they are right now until I actually have that in place and know exactly what I'm up against. So I plug the right things in.
Can I ask you a question? Serious question.
Of course.
Did you ever assemble a barbecue?
Yes, many times.
Successfully?
Yes.
How many pieces did you have left over?
Handful.
I'll never forget, this is a number of years ago, we got a little barbecue for our cottage, and I had several pieces left over, one of which was a wonderful prop for the window. Like when you wanted to hold the window up, well, whatever was left over from the barbecue propped up that window for years.
Well, that's handy. That's good.
Oh, yeah, you'll also be very pleased to know that my wife really splurged and got me a giant box of corn pops. I have enough corn pops now. Oh, yeah. I have enough to last me
the full thickness box, or
the full thickness box.
You're spoiled. You are spoiled, Mr. Lowell Green.
No idea what she paid. We'll probably be paying for it for the rest of our lives.
My man, you got to live sometimes,
Talking about paying for it. Somebody is going to have to help me here, okay? I need a lot of help. In fact, I think most Canadians these days need a lot of help. Let me get this straight, okay? And if I've got it wrong, I'm sure that some of you people out there will jump in to correct me. God knows you do it in the past. Quebec, just across the river, our only province that has not signed the Canadian Constitution, can unilaterally, that means all by itself, change the Constitution that they never signed. I got that right?
I believe I asked you that on Friday, and you kind of scratched your head on that, yeah.
The Prime Minister says so, and the Prime Minister is never wrong.
Of course.
But while Quebec, who never signed the Constitution, Canadian Constitution, can change that Constitution all on its own, the other 9 provinces, which would include Ontario, which did sign the Constitution, cannot change the Constitution without the approval of Quebec and the other provinces. I need the tin hat, or I don't know, some screws. Maybe they're loose in the head, but I mean, it's totally mind-boggling. The one province that did not sign the Constitution is the only province that can change that Constitution all on its own. How can you change something that you're not a part of, that you never signed? Well, says the Prime Minister, yes, you can. Unilaterally. Well, the other provinces, like, Manitoba, Alberta, BC, Ontario, Prince Edward Island, can they unilaterally change the Constitution? No. They need the approval of the other 9 provinces. That would mean they need the province of Quebec to approve. Yeah. But Quebec doesn't need them. No. Oh. Okay. Folks, if anybody has any comments on this, sometimes when I'm out here pounding away, I think, you know what? Maybe I am the only guy that gives a damn flying fox fart about this. I don't know. If anybody else thinks this is just slightly screwy, I'd sure love to hear from you. Okay? And John, tell them once again how to get in touch with me.
We look forward to this conversation because I'm confused. 613-413 613-2217 is the number, 613-413-2217. If you're following on Facebook or on Twitch, the number is on your screen. You can also listen on your smart speaker, ask it to play Blast the Radio, or email Lowell at blasttheradio.com.
So I'm looking for a little bit of support here. I think this is sheer madness. And I guess the only other one out there that I've seen sort of agree with me is Rex Murphy, who used about 7 different adjectives to describe how crazy this is. The one province. And by the way, I have to ask you this. All of these years that Quebec has been part of the Canadian Federation, it never signed the Constitution. And yet it gets all of the benefits, and then some, of the Constitution belonging to Canada, but never signed. I'm having a little difficulty with that. Now, there's another factor involved here. Now, if the fact that Quebec can unilaterally change our Constitution doesn't bother you, maybe the fact that this province that didn't sign the Constitution and is going to change the Constitution is going to be getting more than $13 billion, $13.1 billion to be exact, in equalization payments this year. Quebec, which has probably the strongest economy. Got the strongest economy because it's sucking all of the money out of the other provinces, right? And of course it doesn't. Oh well. So anyway, here is Quebec. I won't go through the Constitution bit again. Has never signed it. But it's going to get $13.1 billion, much of it from Saskatchewan and Alberta. So how much, like Saskatchewan and particularly Alberta, I mean, they're really sucking the hind tit here. I mean, they're in real financial straits. I mean, one of the reasons that they're in these financial straits is because the province of Quebec won't buy their oil, okay? Quebec prefers to buy American oil or Saudi Arabia oil. Quebecers think that it's much better to get oil from Saudi Arabia than it is to get from Canada. Now, mind you, the $13 billion, well, we'll take the $13 billion. Good chunk of that from Alberta. So how much equalization is Alberta and Saskatchewan going to get? Nada. Zero. Zilch. Not a cent. $13.1 billion for La Province de Quebec, nada for Alberta, Saskatchewan, a little bit for Ontario, and by the way, the other province that's having real difficulty because of the whole oil situation is Newfoundland. How much is it going to get? Nothing. Is anybody else out there think this is wrong? Am I all alone on this again here? If so, I mean, we'll just turn the page onto another topics here. It's just mind-boggling. And through it all, don't forget the reason that Quebec's going to get the $13.1 billion is Jason Kenney and several other Western premiers 2 or 3 years ago asked Trudeau to change the deal, and he refused to do it. In fact, he went behind. He said that Trudeau promised that he would negotiate with the other provinces, but he didn't. He signed the deal, extended the deal, the equalization payments, which last year brought in about $9 billion for Quebec, and now they tell me $13.1 billion this year. But the provinces that signed the Constitution get nothing. Once again, thanks to a deal signed by the beloved Prime Minister of Canada. Latest poll indicates that 70% of Canadian women have a very favorable view of this man. Very clearly not a whole lot of them live in the West, but anyway. So if anybody else out there thinks there's anything wrong with this, please let me know. Any response yet, John, or is everybody muted? I'm all alone.
We've got 2 comments. Yeah, it's pretty quiet. Valda says, I wonder what would happen if the rest of the provinces cut Quebec off for not signing the Constitution. And Kerry says, I agree with you. Quebec should not be able to change the Constitution. The only comments so far.
Okay. To be honest with you, folks, I don't know if you want a show like this or not. I mean, it's supposed to take, we need people to take part in the show. It seems to me it's a fairly important issue. The Canadian Constitution, Quebec, et cetera, et cetera. But if you're not interested, okay, I have another issue here. It looks like Bill C-10, which will censor what you or I say on Facebook, YouTube, et cetera, is going to pass into law. We've talked about this before. from the lack of response today, probably most of you don't care anyway. To me, though, it's another mind boggler, okay? Here we have the Bloc, a party that wants to destroy the Canada that we know. That's what they want to do. It's the only reason they exist, is to break Canada apart. They're going to join with the ruling Liberal Party to pass a bill which will restrict what I and you can say about this deal, okay? In fact, whether I will even be able to continue broadcasting without some kind of government license and CRTC approval, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I think the jury is still out on this. There's no question that the Bloc wishes to foment as much discontent in this country as it can. And there's no question that Liberals don't want people like me, Brian Lilley, the rebel, to keep on criticizing them. So Bill C-10 is a perfect solution that creates dissension out in the community. And it has the capability of silencing or nearly silencing people like me, Brian Lilley. Well, not like Brian Lilley in the newspaper, but certainly as a broadcaster and the rebel. The Bloc wins because it gets to create dissension in the country. The Liberals get to control maybe Bloc guys like me. I don't know. Beautiful, beautiful world that the Liberals have planned. Any comments out there, John?
We've got a couple. No? We're still talking about, they're starting to talk now about the past subject. So Tim says, it's now crystal clear what the cost is to keep the Liberals in power. They will stop at nothing. And says, someone else suggested the transfer payments to Quebec should be sent via the pipeline. And an email just in moments ago from Robert in Carleton Place. He says, in 1995, this country rallied very hard to defeat the separatist referendum in Quebec. 25 years later, I don't think there would be anywhere near the support to keep Quebec in Canada.
All right. I'm going to try one more topic, and if that doesn't work, I'm not feeling that great anyway, so we'll sign off a little bit early, John. Just
okay.
Be prepared.
All right.
Can't do a program if people don't care about the topics.
I hear you.
So, that's, unfortunately, that's the way it is. And increasingly, and even when I was at CFRA and had huge audience, I found that less and less people were prepared to speak up.
Telephone calls are tough. I ask this question all the time. I don't know why people are afraid to engage on the telephone these days. They're fine behind the keyboard.
Well, we're not even getting keyboard response. Talking about the kind of world that the Liberals are planning for us. That was some kind of world that, remember Dalton McGuinty? Remember Kathleen Wynne?
Oh, yeah.
Remember our old friend Gerald Butts? That was some kind of a world that they had created for us in Ontario. I'm talking about the Green Energy Act. I thought I would just check. This is a beautiful day out there. The sun is shining. Excuse me. The wind is blowing. So I thought I would check with the site IESO. I've told you about that site 1,000 times. Mm-hmm. IESO.ca tells you hour by hour how much power is being consumed in Ontario and where the power is being manufactured. It's very, very revealing. So I thought, well, you know what? It's a perfect day. Sun is shining beautifully. The wind is blowing. We'll just check. So at noon today, I checked. Guess what I found? Wind is setting some sort of a record. Obviously, all of the windmills are spinning today. How much are they producing? A little bit less than 15% of all of the power that we need in this province now being produced by wind. And that's a record. I haven't seen it at 15% for a long, long time. So that's pretty well it. Billions and billions and billions of dollars, destroyed landscapes, destroyed businesses in order to build windmills. And all it's producing today is about 15% of all of the power that we need. Solar, forget it. Solar is just a total disaster. Solar right now, despite the fact the sun is shining brightly, there's no snow, et cetera, is producing only about 1%. So between the two of them, just think of the tens of billions of dollars we've spent, not only in building these things, but paying all of the extra. Because in some cases, we are paying people who produce, and mostly foreign companies, producing wind power, paying them about, in some cases, 20 times what we could produce it ourselves with water. And this is another one of the great disgraceful things. I was speaking with Pierre Poilievre's office this morning about this very thing. And that is that the more wind we use, like people are both, oh, we got 15% wind. Yeah, but the only problem is when we use wind, it means that we use less water. We use less hydropower. So, and hydro is much, 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 much cheaper than windmill, and it's more environmentally friendly. The hydro is by far the most environmentally friendly power that we have, the falling water from dams. So in order to pay, because the deal says we got to pay the wind and solar first, in order to pay and use them first, we have to cut back on what we use from water. So at any given time, we're only using about half the capacity that is available in water. The most environmental friendly we have. Not only that, the other thing is that we, the Canadian taxpayer, own almost all of the dams, particularly Niagara Falls. Whereas when it comes to wind and solar, for the most part, they're foreign owned. So we are pouring out excess money to foreigners while at the same time cutting back on power that we produce with our machinery through hydro. It is madness, folks. Are we getting any comments here at all, John?
Yes,
no?
Sir, we are. Got a few.
All right.
Hazel says, I never understood how the Bloc is a party in Canada. Plus, they say they get a say in what happens in our country. Trudeau 1 and 2, love for Quebec. Tim says, what a strategy. Buy off the media, silence your critics, sell out the country to Quebec. All the ducks are in a row. Time to call a federal election. Debbie says, I sent an email to our MPP in Stittsville about stopping this C-10 bill. The office acknowledged, but never got an update. I will email them again. I even wonder if sending our MPP emails will do any good. Lisa says, Bill C-10 cannot be passed. Miranda says, I'm on Facebook, and it's just jipper-japper when the two of you are talking. Thanks, Miranda. And Darlene says, I always struggle with politics, but this is really out there. How is that even possible? They obviously don't want to be part of Canada, yet they have the control to change the Constitution. The government is beyond crazy.
All right. I do want to get a word in here for our friends at Shields. If you check the Shields website today, you will see there's some tremendous specials, particularly on Frigidaire. As a matter of fact, the entire Frigidaire gallery is now on sale at Shields in Pakenham. You can save up to $1,200 by part of the Frigidaire package, and you can save up to $900. And one of the things, and I'm still unclear on this, some of you people are probably much more knowledgeable than I on this, but the air fryer, apparently this is the big thing. And Shields has a wonderful supply of all of the latest styles of air fryers. Apparently, this is the modern thing now in the way to cook rather than frying, I guess, air fryers. I don't quite understand it, but apparently it works really well, and Shields has a wonderful supply. So the sale is on now, and by the Frigidaire sale is a major, major sale. If you check them out, you'll see it. Ends, I think, around June 23rd. You can check the site and see. Shields.ca. Here's a company, locally owned, family owned since 1947. Wonderful reputation. They have their appliances are in stock. You won't have to wait. You'll save money and you'll get wonderful service. And if you buy a major appliance, a couple of free T-bone steaks. Shields.ca. As I say, we're running out of comments here, so I think I'm going to sign off a little bit early. I think listeners, maybe you can let me know if it's worthwhile continuing, because what I see happening, John, I know that it's very important to you, but I see that essentially we're talking to the same people. Essentially, they're the only ones who seem to be commenting, and I'm just wondering if it's worthwhile. That's all. I spend a lot of time doing the research, thinking about it, worrying about it.
I know you do.
And I'm not sure if it's really worth it. It's entirely up to you. I have a feeling that people are getting tired of talk shows, tired of all of the problems and so forth. And I understand that.
I don't think the lockdown helps either. I really think the lockdown has just really affected the way people think and the way we communicate. We do have a call, by the way, if you want to go to it cold.
All right. Okay, sure.
Take a chance. All right. Who's on the line? Please go ahead. You're on with Lowell Green.
It's Valda.
Hi, Valda.
Hi, how are you? So I've been getting kicked off and call rejected, and I didn't know what was going on. Well, nobody is sick of your show. I just happened to be home today, so I was able to tune in. How in God's name can the rest of the provinces stop seeing that Quebec gets all the handouts when they haven't signed this Constitution? I did not know this.
Really? Yeah, it was Pierre Trudeau who repatriated the Constitution. He brought the Constitution back from London, England, and all of the provinces except Quebec have signed that Constitution. Despite the fact that Quebec never signed the Constitution, it takes advantage of all of the benefits of that Constitution, in particular the equalization payments. Last year, Quebec got a little bit over $9 billion from the rest of the country, primarily Alberta. This year, they are slated to get...
Alberta there are provinces that get absolutely nothing. So
that's right.
How do the rest of the provinces go about seeing that they get cut off because they haven't signed it?
Well, do you want an honest answer there?
Yes.
And that is that Canadians, it seems to me, by and large, have become very apathetic, and they're letting the Quebec get away with it. They're letting the government get away with it. If we had a government with some guts, they would stand up to Quebec. They would say, no, you can't. You haven't signed the Constitution. You can't unilaterally change this Constitution. And by the way, when it comes to equalization, we can't give you all of the money and take it from the other provinces. But the problem is, of course, is that the Liberals rely almost entirely upon Quebec support to get reelected. So they're going to do everything they can to keep Quebec happy and essentially to help. And they know that Toronto, with its huge number of votes, is always going to vote Liberal. So they know all they have to do is win Quebec and Toronto, and they've pretty well got the country. And that's the way it is. And sadly, people, I think, by and large, through their apathy, are letting it happen. That's the answer.
They shouldn't even be allowed to vote.
What's Quebec, you think?
Yeah.
They're still part of Canada, but I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. All I know is that they never signed the Constitution, but now they not only are they allowed to change it, but they're going to get $13 billion. It's beautiful. You know what? I appreciate your call very much. I'm glad to hear that there's a few people out there that are concerned. Thank you.
Well, I really appreciate you and John.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys, for everything you do.
Thank you.
Oh, I got a vote in there, Lowell. I got a vote.
John, we have a couple more comments, apparently.
We do. We're kind of all over the map, so stick with me here. Cheryl says,
Sure.
Sorry, Lowell, we don't need wind turbines. We need hydro and gas, not wind and solar. Peter says, solar windmills are a massive mistake to the people of Ontario. Money could have gone to hospitals 4 times this. Butts and other Liberals had to push this junk down our throats, just like this carbon tax nonsense. Peter says, Bill C-10 is just a Canadian version of what the Democrats did in the U.S. to silence the conservative voices. Sean says, Lowell, a lot of people in Quebec think that they give more in payments than they get back. Debbie says, absolutely necessary to continue your show. If you make one person aware of what's really going on, it will be passed on to other people. So if 100 people are listening, it opens up conversation to many more. So please continue. Tim says, don't stop the show, Lowell. You and the Rebel are the only outlets that are broadcasting from the conservative perspective. Kelly says, I tune in daily. Please continue. Darlene says, just an FYI, Lowell. Since I'm often challenged by politics, it's extremely helpful to hear your views, and I totally appreciate the research and information you pass along. I love this show. Over on Twitch, Long Point Driver says, I've listened for months and only made an account a few days ago. Both you guys have great shows, and it's become part of my daily listening. Kelly says, maybe one day a week Lowell can share his stories. Okay, there you go.
When I tell stories, people get up. They don't want to hear the stories, so you can't win. You can't win. You know. By the way, I appreciate your comments. I really do. I'm going to have to re-examine the whole thing, to be honest. There's not a threat. I'd like to be upfront with people. Okay, we're debating here whether it's worthwhile. And John, I'm going to tell you, John, were it not for you and all of the efforts, I think I would have probably stopped some time ago. But you work so hard. This is your baby. You've done so well. And I'm going to be honest with you, John. I don't think that you and your radio station get nearly the credit that it deserves either, or the media. One of the things that I am pleased to see is I had a lot of negative comments concerning my show on Friday when I was very critical of people who are anti-vaxxers. I'm still highly critical. Yep. for good reason, but I don't want to go into that again. All I can say is that we've heard from at least 2 or 3 what I would say very avid anti-vaxxers who possibly, because of something that I said, have decided to get vaccinated. There's one person in particular who sort of led the anti-vax talk, and he has now admitted that he's gone and got a vaccination because he realizes that there is a community responsibility. The more people we get vaccinated, the sooner we will get out of the lockdown. The sooner we'll be able to attend ball games and hockey games and so forth. So I don't want to pound on this too much more, but I do appreciate the fact that some of you apparently, I guess, took to heart what I said. I appreciate that. Thank you all. Centennial Glass, just before we go. Centennial Glass, another one of those companies that I really love to talk about. I've been endorsing a Centennial Glass for better part of 20 years. And as I've said before, I don't recall ever receiving a complaint about them. Believe me, people complain to me about everything else. So if they get bad service, you can be darn sure I hear about it. I don't recall ever getting a complaint about Centennial Glass. You know, sometimes Centennial Glass, a mistake was made, but they made it up right away. They fixed it, whatever the problem was. And very few of those, believe me, in 20 years. Whether it's a big job, small job, whether it's a hotel, a whole new apartment complex, or just you need a screen repaired. Centennial Glass, they're good folks, honest workmanship, and very, very fair prices. John, we're not getting much response, so I'm going to sign off a little bit early here. Appreciate, I hope you get your renovations done. And
it will get done. It will get done.
All right.
And you'll be here for it, Lowell Green.
All right. I'll let you know whether we're going to continue or not. Thank you very much, John. Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Lowell Green, live on blasttheradio.com. Show info and links at blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. Can't join us live? Subscribe to the Lowell Green podcast. Available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and more. Or ask your smart speaker to play the Lowell Green podcast. Join us live, weekdays at 2 p.m. Eastern on blasttheradio.com.